Okay, so we've made a lot of headway. We understand now how methods work and how classes work and kind of how they create objects. Now we're going to talk about the actual object. Now we spent a little time talking about that already, but let's delve deeper. To create an instance of a class, to create an object, we need to supply a type and an identifier. We need to allocate computer memory for the object. And we need to use the new keyword operator. So you guys saw that before, but here's an example. We supply a type by saying this is an employee. We allocate memory by naming that memory location, some employee. And then we use the new keyword operator to make a new employee. And you can see that in this case, we've used two statements to do that. And in the bottom case, we use one statement to do that. We declare and instantiate on separate lines here and declare and instantiate on the same line below that. A constructor method is a method that creates and initializes class objects. You can write your own constructor methods. Java writes a constructor for you, like a default constructor, when you don't write one. The name of the constructor is the same as the class whose object it constructs. Here's an example here of this code where we actually have made two different employees, a clerk and a driver. Methods of the objects can be used by using the object's identifier, so the actual object name, in this case clerk, the dot in the method call. In the code we did before, we did a similar thing. You can see here that we created employee 1, and then we used employee 1 dot set employee number to set the employee number. It allows us to call methods from the object type. So it allows us to call methods from that object that are specific to that instance. This also allows for data hiding using encapsulation. As you know, we create getter methods and setter methods, or accessors and mutators. Most of our instance fields are private, and we share those with methods with stuff outside the class by using an accessor. The client can only access the method through public interfaces. They can't dig deep into the code and mess around or play around. The set method controls the data values used to set a variable, and the get method controls how a value is retrieved. Now, a default constructor requires no arguments and is created automatically by the Java compiler. This happens whenever you don't write a constructor. Going back to my code, you will see that for the employee, there was no constructor set up. So the actual employees, when created, use the default constructor. Things were null, and specifically everything, the employee number was null, the first and last name were, the employee number was 0, the first and last name were null, and the employee's salary was 0. So primitive methods are set to 0, and reference types are set to null. There's nothing here to set, so the constructor defaults to 0. I had that shown on this slide. Numeric fields are set to 0. Character fields are set to Unicode 00000, which basically is effectively 0. Boolean fields are set to false, and non-primitives are set to null. A constructor must have the same name as the class it constructs. It will not have a return type, but it will have the public access modifier. Otherwise, you can't construct from outside the class. You cannot make objects or instances of the class. Here's an example of a constructor with one attribute being set, specifically the salary. So you can see now that I've added that salary to the employee. I'm going to go ahead and compile my classes. First, I'll compile the package, the employee package. Then did I save this? Probably not. So let me redo that just in case. Alright, then I'm going to compile my pay calculations class. I'm going to run my pay calculations class. We don't have any salary on there, so let's come back to pay calculations and go ahead and type in salary. So we're going to check out what the salary is given to this employee. Let's see, you can come back to employee.java. You can see that we don't have a get method for salary. So let's go and do that real quick. Public double get employee salary. Right, we're going to return emp salary. Here it is, emp salary. Alright, I'm going to save that. Then I can come back over here and I can say get employee salary. I'm going to save that, save everything. Come back to my terminal window. I'm going to compile that class. Then I'm going to compile my pay calculations. So what I forgot to do on pay calculations is say employee1 dot get employee salary. Alright, let's try it again on my compilation. Alright. Variable name, employee1 dot get employee salary. Take that again. Sorry, I keep making mistakes today. Come back over here. Alright, that should work, and then we can run the pay calculations. And you can see now that since I established the constructor with no parameters being passed to make the salary equal to 300, every employee I create is going to have a salary of 300. It's important to note that every class that you create is a data type. They're referred to as abstract data types. The implementation is hidden and accessed through public methods. They're a programmer-defined data type in that they're not built into the language. When you declare an object from one of your classes, you just provide the type and the identifier. So you say, like in my case, employee, which is now a data type, emp1 equals something, and you set up that class.